Well, hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. The only thing you'll have to forgive is my touching a button on a computer every time we switch pictures. You all know that the reason that you're here is to do with candid photography very specifically. And I've been doing this job long enough to know that that's the thing I care about the most. And I've done so many things, from the fine art Alex was talking about to fashion work, and from day one, it was the little moments that got me. And I would get such a charge at all of these jobs, seeing them before they happened and getting them and knowing what that would mean to somebody. But I was asked recently, kind of why. And I realized I was actually being pretty selfish about it earlier in my career. Because all of us, and I'm sure everybody in here, considers candid photography the moment. That ain't it. It's things that happen before that. That's what it is. And I'm going to show you some of that tonight. And some of the other things you'll see are some images that look very similar and mean entirely different things to entirely different people. So we are going to start with an image that on the surface, like all of these, there's a story there. It's in black and white, so it's going to stand out against the rest of the gallery. You can see a bride who's getting her hand held. And if you look at that, it's lovely. It's not the moment, though. See, 5 minutes before that picture was taken, the bride's father stood up to talk about his daughter getting married. Now, her father is a 6'4" tall firefighter. And that man cried like a baby. But see, a minute before this picture was taken, it was Haley's turn to thank her guests for being at her wedding. And she couldn't talk because she'd never seen her dad cry. And the first time she did see her dad cry was about her. And that bridesmaid's hand, it's her little sister. And her little sister saw that her big sister was struggling. And so she very gently reached out. And can you see how gently? She grabbed her pinky. But that's not even it either. Because her little sister had never seen their dad cry. So, while Haley needed her sister needed Haley too. And that's what that picture is. So, when we see that, it's great. But when they see it, they're going to see so much more. Now, this next one is actually, this is a lot of things. When we see this, it couldn't be any sweeter. And what we're looking at is a man, a friend now, who's holding his mom's hand when she turned 104 years old. They hired me for that reason, to make sure that the family remembers. Now, we did lose her shortly after, but what happened is that that family brought me into them in a way that I will cherish, still do. But another thing that is interesting about this is this picture will mean something entirely different to that family than it does to me. When they see this, they're going to see him holding their mom's hand. When I see it, I'm going to see the way that he holds her hand. I see how gently he holds his mother's hand. I see that her hand is so small that she can only hold his first 2 fingers. I imagine that's how she's done it forever. We do have a book that we can show you later that this family put together and sent to me. I didn't know it was going to happen. But it shows how much these things can mean. Now, there is one more picture that exists in this realm. And it is another illustration on how this can be different. This was a very simple little job. This was Mother's Day at an old folks' home. And they had this really cute little golden sparkly background for everybody to come up and stand in front of for posed pictures. And when these two showed up and their families behind them, you can't see them, I saw that. And as you've seen, it's a picture I like to take. I took that picture. And about 2 minutes later, 3 minutes later, when they had left, a woman walked up to me. It was his daughter. And she said, "I cannot believe you took that picture." And I went, "Hey, I saw it, it was cute." She goes, No. That's not my mom. My mom died 2 years ago. That's his first girlfriend. His wife for 48 years. It was beautiful that his daughter was joyful when she told me that. She wasn't sad. She was so happy that I had taken that picture because of what it means. But what was also interesting to me was that she did not see the picture before she came and thanked me for doing it. She saw that I took it and knew what I took it of. And that meant everything. Now, this one's a little different. This picture has been shared and posted tens of thousands of times. Literally. And what I love is that you don't know what's going on there. What you see is absolute joy. Full stop, 100% joy. You don't know if she said something, if she saw something. You don't know anything. But you see this bride in the center of the picture, clearly the subject of the image. And her eyes, to me, I know everybody sees her hands. It's her eyes. That's what it is. But her fiance, the groom, who is entirely out of focus, not typically something you would notice in a picture, is animated enough, is doing enough where he's in there too. Now, the story of this picture. I will say, I got lucky. This is a wedding in Tahoe. It was huge, which means I am everywhere. I'm going from this side to that side. If I was anywhere but right there, I'm not getting it. I just wouldn't. I would have gotten him in the back of her head. Who knows? Now, Garrett, our groom, was saying his vows. And right in the beginning of them, he said on their first date, her name is Amy, he made her laugh, and she snorted. Everybody reacted like you just did. It's cute, right? And then shortly thereafter, he made her laugh. And she snorted. So what you see is her covering her mouth right after she snorts, and Garrett pointing at the guests going, that. It's perfect. Now, this is entirely different. It looks posed, yeah? It ain't. I can get emotional when I think about the story of this one. Our groom, Terry, had a lovely morning on his wedding day. Very normal. He was with his boys, he was drinking, he was playing games, he was watching TV. That's what we do on our wedding day. Now, Danielle, the bride. Very different story. Danielle was having a very hard time that morning. Her mother was on her mind, not for reasons that are going to make you cry, but because her mother was difficult. She was scared. She was worried about it. And Mom showed up really late. And on top of it, for whatever reason, all of Danielle's bridesmaids and that they weren't paying attention to her. I don't know why. Now, when Mom finally did show up, she did exactly what Danielle was afraid she would do. And she just cut her down at the knees all morning. Nobody was watching. I don't understand. Now, I do need to tell you that this couple, more than any couple I have ever worked with in my life, is supposed to be together. They are one of those it's us against the world couples like I have never seen. Everything is a little bit better no matter how bad it gets because they're together kind of couple. So when I was watching this happen and noticing that nobody else was watching this happen, I knew that they had a very firm, we're not seeing each other before the wedding thing. That's normal. But I also knew that the only person in the world that could make Danielle feel any kind of good was Terry. So I pulled Danielle aside and I said, listen, you need to see Terry now. She cried and said, yeah. See, now I feel it too, right? So I said, okay. And I hid Danielle in a broom closet. I hid her in a broom closet because I knew that as soon as her mother found out that she was going to see Terry before the wedding, she'd bully her into not seeing Terry before the wedding. So I hid her. I walked over to the boys. This is where it gets magical. Terry saw me and just knew. It was creepy. He stood up and knew. And he walked right over to me. And I went, she needs you. He left. He was in that tux in 5 minutes. Now, I got lucky with the heart-shaped leaves. I'll admit to not having seen that beforehand. I put Terry underneath there, okay? Similar to a first look. But see, if it was a first look, I would have put Terry there. I would have pointed him in the opposite direction. I would have gotten Danielle. I would have put her right here, stepped back, said, okay, go. And she would have walked up to him, tapped him on the shoulder. They would have done their thing, and I would have circled them and taken all these pictures. I didn't do that. I just opened that broom closet, said he's over there. And she ran. She ran. But I was prepared to see her jump into his arms to feel better. That's where the story's going, right? It isn't. She ran until she got about 5 feet from him. And then she slowed down. And it hit me. And she walked over to him, and she grabbed him by the hands, and she put her forehead on his, and they did that. I have never seen anything like that before. Again, I thought she was going to, that thing on the beach, jump into his arms. Those two are magnets for each other. And it was like as soon as she felt that field, she was okay. She slowed down. She found him. And I'm not kidding, the rest of the day was beautiful. This one here is very different from the rest. This has been one of my favorite pictures that I've ever taken for a long time. It looks like a painting to me. Everything is there. Our bride is there, her dress is there, her shoes are there, her veil is, it's all there. The colors work. From her red hair, to the walls, to the shadows, even the color of the makeup, it all works. But here's where this picture really makes me happy. 2 seconds before I took it, there was 15 people in the room. There was makeup artists over there with 2 bridesmaids. There was hair people over here with another bridesmaid, and there was everybody else walking in and out. This was at a golf course. So behind me, right, if I'm here taking that picture, behind me is everyone. I saw that picture with everybody in the room. So I hollered to freeze. Nobody expected it, so they froze. And I said, I need every single person in here except Amanda to get out. Now, you're not really supposed to do that. Because I wasn't the only one working at the time. I did not care. So, people did it. Us photographers tend to have a little leeway telling people what to do sometimes. Now, here's what's cool. Once everybody got behind me, they saw the picture too. So they got it. And I took that picture with 15 people watching me take that picture and looking at that scene. Again, entirely different. Okay? So I got to jump back to what I was saying. It's not just this moment. It's the stuff that happens before. Yeah? Now, there are 2 more. And they go together. What we see is very gentle. You see our bride sitting at the bottom of the staircase. Her pose is perfect. It's so girly. I love it. And she's looking at her phone. Now, what looks like curtains are not. These are bridesmaids' dresses and her dress. Here's what you don't know. Haley's brother couldn't make the wedding. That's her big brother. She needed him at the wedding. It wasn't a last-minute thing, but it hits harder then when everybody's there, and everybody's there for you. And all you want is one person to be there, and he couldn't be there. I don't know what she was saying to him, or what he was saying to her is probably more accurate. But when I thought that picture was one thing, it's something very different to her. Now, the beautiful part is that her brother showed up. That's all I need to tell you about that one. He showed up. So, when I told you before that I was being selfish about what I loved within my job, I was. Because of the reasons I told you. It is not about catching that moment. It's about catching the end of something longer. I want to thank you all for coming. That is my talk on the true depth of candid photography. And I hope you guys aren't crying too hard.